Coral Korrupt. I'm a dominatrix in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm creating this video blog to answer some of the questions that some of you have been asking me for years that I've repeated over and over and over and over again. I repeated the answers to over and over and over again. Anyway, the first question that I get is, what turns you on? What do you like? What are you into? What gets you going? Any variation of that same exact question. And I always answer it the same way, or different variations of the same way. My answer to that would be, I don't have a particular interest that I like more than other interests. I happen to pick up skills along the way. There are some activities where I really excel at, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's an activity that I like more than other activities. It just happens to be something I'm like a freaking surgeon at. And one of the main things that really gets me going in a session is the chemistry. I like to be the more room I have to kind of be myself and orchestrate the session however I like, actually being a dominatrix, you know, like actually being a dominant woman. The more room I have to move around and be myself, the better it is. Believe it or not, there are more guys out there that are more consumed in their own pleasure and how much they're going to enjoy themselves with me rather than how much I'm going to enjoy myself with them. They don't even think about that. And I really like when guys actually take the time to be a little thoughtful or, you know, considerate of my own enjoyment and actually wanting to please me. And I don't mean please me in ways that they think of, like, oh, mistress, I want to please you by doing this activity that I actually like, that, you know, you're supposed to like just because I want you to do it to me. No. It's kind of like, all right, mistress, you know, I really want to please you, you know, here are my interests, and however you know, anything else that you feel like throwing in there, you know, aside from my limits, hard limits. I like when people are like that. That's really what gets me going, is the more control I actually have, the more fun I have. Big shock, huh? Wow, a dominatrix that likes lots of control instead of being topped from the bottom. Yeah, so I know I'm goofing around a bit. I'm giving you a couple jabs in there. But anyway, yes, so, you know, like I said, I came into S&M. I was like into everything. The idea of everything was like, wow, this is amazing. It's kind of like any other, you know, job or activity that somebody goes to college for. They go into it because they have an interest in it. You know, the same thing. You pick up the skills, you learn things, you do it, and you see what you do and don't like. So, yeah, that basically is what boils down to it. And if you want to create better chemistry with me, or any dom for that matter, be thoughtful, be considerate. It's okay to, you know, do your homework. Some guys think it's kind of weird or stalkery when they're like, hey, you know, I read your Twitter, I read all your blogs, I see your site, I watch everything online that you do, and I'm like, you know what, that's amazing because it just shows how devoted you are to learning more about me. And that goes a long way. Just even expressing how much you know, thought you've put into this, or how much work you've done, homework that you've done on me, by, you know, following all the details instead of just looking at my picture and telling me that you want me to do A, B, C to you. And another question that I get asked all the time is if I am dominant in my personal life. Actually, I'm a lot more dominant in my personal life than I am even in the dungeon. Because I still have to be professional in the dungeon. In my personal life, I prefer a kinky partner. I prefer men that are kinky just in the bedroom, that, you know, are into some sort of kink or anything. I like having some sort of sexual power over a man. So, you know, the more, the kinkier they are, or any kind of fetish that I can use to kind of like manipulate or control them with in some way, shape, or form, in a positive way, is really good. I like a dynamic where it's normal outside of the bedroom, you know, an equal partnership. I've never been in a relationship where a guy was dominant or, you know, controlling, so I wouldn't even know what that's like, but I don't want to find out. I prefer guys that are either passive to me or just normal. But in the bedroom, they're total freaks. Have I ever subbed to anybody? No, I've never taken a submissive role. I've never bottomed. Nothing like that. Never had any desire to. I'm pretty content with, being a dominant female and my, I wouldn't say role, but that part of myself. And I don't question it. It's like kind of like, you know what you like. You know that you, are into S&M. You know that you're straight. You know that you're gay. You know that you're bi. You know what kind of woman you like. I know what I like. Very obvious. But anyway, so yeah, do I like somebody that's submissive 24/7? I don't think that I would enjoy that dynamic one bit. But I do like somebody that's kinky in the bedroom. I don't really go to munches or fetish events or anything like that, so I don't necessarily consider myself a lifestyle dominatrix because I do keep things separate. But yes, there is a different dynamic between my personal relationships and what happens in sessions. Obviously, in my personal relationships, there's a much deeper sexual element there. And with my, clients, they're denied access to all the really good stuff. But hey, we still have a blast. So, one of the other questions that I get asked all the time is how I got into this. And this is my last question that I will be answering. I was 16 years old when I decided that I wanted to be a dominatrix. I didn't come from any other area of the sex industry, although I do think that women that do come from other areas of the sex industry and choose to be doms are probably more well-equipped than somebody that just identifies as a dominatrix and becomes a dominatrix because, they know how to handle that kind of sexual element. Hence why when I very first started out, I was a little, like, whoa, what am I doing? Like, I kind of didn't know what I was doing in a way. I won't deny. That was many years ago, though. Not anymore. I know exactly how to fuck with you guys. But anyway, yes. So I was about 16 years old when I kind of discovered exactly what a dominatrix was. I had desires for as far back as I can remember sexually that were considered deviant, and I thought that there was something wrong with me until I discovered what a dominatrix was. And then it was like, that is what I want to do with myself. There's nothing more in this world that I want than to be a dominatrix. And I told my whole family, they supported me, my friends were supportive, some of them were a little critical, but that's what happens. I'm very grateful that I actually got that kind of support. And I wasn't able to live out any of my fantasies at all until I became a pro-dom. And later down the line, I got to live out my sexual desires with an actual partner, but that didn't come until later. So that's the truth right there, guys. But yes, I just remember people saying like, oh, don't you want to do like this or that? And I'm like, there's nothing more that I wanted than to be a dominatrix. And, of course, in time I'm going to be doing something else, but, that's a different story. I'm a couple years away from retirement, and it's not because I don't enjoy being a dominatrix, but, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, this is something that I did in my life, and I was great at it, and I loved every minute of it, and while I still love it, I might as well leave now before I get my ass burnt. But anyway, if anyone else has any other questions for me, if it's a question that I get asked enough, I will absolutely create a video blog answering it for you. Have a happy new year, and for those of you who are doing your homework on me to learn about me before you come into session, I appreciate it very much, and I look forward to meeting you. And for those of you that are still scared, it's okay. Here's a little something for you. Happy New Year and have a good day.